Hello, everyone, and welcome to X's4 Podcast, the comic podcast where we talk about the Marvels, magic, and mutants of comic books. I am Rod. You can find me at Rod, the.
Hey, I'm Nathan. You can find me online at Twitter and Instagram at DesereeWay.
Hey everybody, I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NicoAction. I'm always waiting for like a magic little like scroll along bar to come, like a Disney sing along. I'm just always waiting for it.
I'd rather see like big people jumping on it, like in Big.
Oh,
yeah.
Like the piano.
And I'm Jonah, and you can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at PeakJonah. That's P-E-A-K. And we hope you survive this experience, just like we hope America's brother survives from Catalina.
Wow.
That was a big moment. That was a huge moment, for sure. But that does bring us to the point where we are talking about America Chavez issue 4 today. Nico, can you bring us into who's writing this and doing everything for this amazing issue?
I would love to, as a matter of fact. So the episode a couple of months ago, we were lucky enough to have Kalinda on the show, and she talked a lot about her process. And so it's so cool to get to like now read a book having like spoken to her. So I'm excited to say that friend of the pod, Kalinda Vazquez, wrote the book. And of course, the amazing art is by Carlos Gómez. He is the artist with Jesus Albertov on the colors, right? Of course, VC's Travis Lanham is bringing in those letters in a beautiful way. And we had amazing covers by Sarah Pacelli, Tamara Bonvillain, and Mark Aspinall. You can tell that I was reading them off of a thing right below me.
And this issue was really great because it confirmed, well, it was the issue before, like after the controversy issue. So it was the issue that confirmed either everyone was there. Well, half of the internet fears were right, or the other half fears were wrong. And it proved that their fears were right. I did not have a fear for it personally. I actually like this change. I feel like it makes the character have more depth. What did y'all think about that? This change that's confirmed.
I mean, I like it. I prefer it in some ways. I mean, I love, to harken back to our coverage of issue 3. We had one of our contributors, Raven, who is a woman of color, who said for her it felt like the idea that there actually could be a utopia for women of color was ripped away. And I have no basis to argue with that. As a queer man of color, I did always find the idea of this utopia too thin. It wasn't fleshed out enough. We didn't see it enough. We didn't really understand it. It wasn't the utopia story I wanted. Right? I only ever got fragments of it. And so for that reason, I feel like coming in and saying, hey, here's the actual story, and that utopia is this part of it. And that we even see there's some visualizations of that utopia in issue 3. And, we get senses of it in issue 4. I, for one, welcome our PTSD help you get through the trauma overlords, because that is a little bit more grounding for her. It makes America feel realer instead of sort of otherworldly and generic.
I'm always all for making like queer characters of color, actual real human characters. I mean, obviously there is the fantastical superhero element to it, but the fact that you're actually bringing this character to Earth and having an Earth origin makes her not a fantastical alien like we get so many queer characters or characters of color to be. And I dig it.
When I read it the first time, I was like, I kind of like the Utopia story more. And then I read it again, and I was like, well, maybe I actually prefer this. And her original backstory, from what I can gather and understand, is a little bit kind of almost like Superman. And not to say that other alien or / otherworldly people coming to our world and becoming a symbol of hope for America can't be done by anybody, because you're allowed to do whatever you want. It's more, it was just a very generic story that had interesting elements that, from what I can gather, were never really flushed out. And as we've learned from our Heroes Reborn, maybe the utopians aren't the best.
And I love that you brought up Superman, because she can punch holes in reality like a Superboy. So that, I guess I hadn't realized just how on the nose she is, like the red, white, and blue daughter of the way, you know,
Yeah.
like it's sort of a really interesting comparative, and I hadn't thought of it. Wow, thanks everybody for making me feel smarter on a Sunday morning.
And
Yay!
honestly, I feel like that's what Marvel was trying to do, is make her that kind of symbol for like how Superman is, you know, for the American people. But it kind of falls on like America. Superman is the symbol for America because he's an immigrant, you know, correct?
Yeah.
And technically, so is America, even though I think she was technically born in America.
As the title says, made in America.
Yeah, she's made in America, so she's not an immigrant, but
She
she
told
is.
us this in the title all along.
Right? It was Catalina all along. But I mean, I feel like this makes it, because she's supposed to be like this big Latinx character. And before this, I feel like she was just kind of appropriating the culture a little bit. And that's what people have been saying about this character, because she wasn't technically Latinx. Like, yeah, she kind of looked Latinx, but she was from an alternate dimension, another world, outwardly in space, mumbo jumbo stuff. So it was like, is she really representing Latin culture? Is she just appropriating it? So I feel like this helps bring it along, especially with her having two like moms that basically gave her power to try to save her life. That even gives it more queer representation, which is always fantastic.
And I think there's also a really funny other parallel that I hadn't considered until listening. Guys, stop making me smarter. So a couple of years ago, there was a Disney Channel original series, Sophia the First. And they announced that Sophia the First was going to be a different kind of Disney princess, like right off the bat. And they announced that her mother was going to be played by the incredible Sarah Ramirez. And everybody said, well, then Sophia the First, that name and a Latin mom, she must be Latin. And everybody celebrated Sophia the First being the first Latinx Disney princess. But she was from another world. Like, she wasn't from a true Latin country. So eventually they were like, okay, we goofed and you're all really upset about it. And they created Elena of Avalor, who actually is meant to be a Latina princess and much more developed in terms of her culture. So I think you really hit something on the head. The appropriation, if she really is not Latinx and she really is Alterna X, you know, there really is something that I'm really glad you brought that up, because I guess I hadn't thought of it as such false appropriation before.
Yeah, it kind of harkens to the Betsy Braddock body swap kind of thing.
Yeah, like, is it really representation if that person isn't of that culture? Like, Betsy was in an Asian body, but she's not Asian, so it's like, it's not. And what Asian person's gonna identify with that?
I sometimes feel like I'm a British lady trapped in an Asian body too.
I'm like, yeah, no. Maybe the white people that really liked Get Out would identify with that, but no, not anybody that is, you know, of good culture.
My favorite thing in the world right now is hot takes on Get Out by white critics. I'm like, I don't think you're even allowed to have an opinion. Like, no, your opinion's the problem, buddy. Even when they're positive takes, I'm like, I'd rather hear it from someone else.
Yep.
But that's just my thing. And like, wow, guys, yeah, you know, for one of the Latin guys on this panel, I guess I really should have thought a little bit deeper about the Latin contextualization. I'm so excited when there is someone like me, right? I just get the blinders and I'm just like, oh, she's so Latina, I love her. And something happened in this issue that changed everything for me for the rest of my life. And when I'm saying I see someone like me, I'm not kidding. On page 5 of the digital, that's literally my turnpike exit.
I was gonna ask, is that
wow.
really
I'm
one
not
of the worst
kidding.
places in the world?
That's literally 2 miles from my house. That is literally 2 miles from my house. That is my turnpike exit. That is my Garden State Parkway entrance. That is what I use to pick Jonah up from the train. Like, that is my Garden State Parkway exit. So I'm like, this made me feel so seen that like, I just don't care. That's my house. Kalinda put me in the book, you guys. So I just don't care.
but Is it really one of the worst places in the world? like she says when she sends her there.
Is it 5 o'clock on a Friday in the summer? Then yes.
Okay.
Then
See,
it is.
traffic.
Oh
Traffic
my
is the
God.
worst. It's the worst hell. That is
Yeah.
my hell. Traffic, waiting in there for hours.
I can't
But
do
see,
it.
that's what I love about like comic books like this or any books, because you felt seen.
So
Like this was for you, you know. And before that, you wouldn't have had this connection with that, but now you do because this is from where you're living, and also you're Latinx. So you're just like, this is, you know. I mean, you're not a female, but still all the other boxes are checked, and that's amazing. That's what we could do with comic books, and that's what we need more of. I wanted to go on another segment, and also I'll start with Nico, even though I just went to Nico, but it's because he has such an affection for this subject line that I found interesting in this book, that possibilities that could come from this. So you know how we get the group of women, our group of little girls, not women, they're little girls.
Yeah.
Little Women.
Little women. I
Joe
love
and
it.
Beth and
Sutton Foster.
Sutton Foster. I don't know any of the Little Women. Anyway,
I don't know. Apparently, there's more than 4, and there's many books.
there's like 5 or 6. And there's
Yeah.
a musical, and there's a lot.
I just learned that from my other friend. They like love the books, and I was like, oh, I thought there was only 4, and I thought it was one book. I only saw the movie. I only saw the remake movie.
There's like a Winona Ryder at some point.
I don't know.
Hey,
I
wasn't
listened to one
Catherine
song
Hepburn
from
a
the
Little
musical.
Woman?
That's not a question for me.
So
I have
wait, what
no
was your
idea.
question for me?
Yeah.
My question, for starting with you, but for everyone, what did we think about the Little Women that have all the powers, and it could become like its own little like group, like the Green Lantern Corps, you know? Because I know, Nico, you're all about the Green Lantern Corps. What if it was like an America Chavez teleporting mumbo jumbo corps? Because they're all still alive, and they could become their own little like power group.
So I need to preface this with, if you haven't seen Black Widow, shut this off now. And I'm gonna even do like a do 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 do, just to give everybody a chance to find the pause button in case they have temporarily forgotten how to pause. Okay, so I think right now, one of the things that we've seen Marvel attempt to do over and over again, Rod, in a previous episode, you said you love Marvel doing cabals. You love a good cabal. I think you would love it if next year we had the Hellfire Cabal, and it could be a beautiful ball where everybody is just secretly planning. Not that this wasn't that. But the thing I do want to say is Marvel is very good at specific ideas, and they have a little bit more trouble with other things. Like they don't seem to have the corporate synergy, mental bandwidth to execute certain ideas. And they're so good at these long building, simmering plans that are put together by councils where everybody's scheming. But you know what they're not good at? Making super teams from one power. They're not good at it. They have never been good at it. It does not ever stick. It is not ever a success. For some reason, like Wolverines, when it was all of the characters have adopted the Logan code, I liked it a lot, but some of it made no sense. There was a different writer every other week. There was a different artist every other week. And it was weekly. That was too much. And we kind of saw it with the attempts with AVX and now the return to Enter the Phoenix, where it's this whole like everybody gets the Phoenix Force, and like that never sticks. And I think Black Widow in film doing its film version of that, where we'll call them the Red Lady Corps for a moment.
Spider-Rats.
Right? The Spiderettes, right? The Widowmakers. I think
I like that.
They are a great example of how you can do this, right? Because think about every time they give us this, there were all the Winter Soldiers, they got taken care of. Every time they give us more weapons, they get killed off in the same run as they're introduced. And this really could be a cool way to simulate that same Black Widow feel in the pages of the comic without having to sacrifice so much of Black Widow's really cool backstory that we've already established over the last couple of years with amazing writers like Marjorie Liu and Mark Waid, where these people have gone in and they've given her so much. And I could just talk about Natasha for the rest of my life, but I do think that this is a really great way to do something that Marvel has struggled to do over and over. I would just really like them to stick the fucking landing, guys.
I mean, I agree. Can't think of a group that, except for the Nova Corps, and they're not even around anymore. And I guess Shield, but they're not around anymore either. So like,
Shield's just gunny gun stuff.
I mean, Shield's is gunny gun, but they're
mutants.
Yeah, but they're all like trained and everything. So I feel like it's kind of the same feel, but like not.
Yeah.
But that's the only like groups that like Marvel doesn't have any groups right now. Like they have like X-Men Avengers, but that's different.
Those are teams. They're
those
not
are
like
teams,
shared
yeah.
groups.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans fell apart.
Yeah. Because I mean, the humans didn't take in media, so they're like, can it?
I got into a fight with somebody about that where they were like, well, no, Marvel was never trying to make the Inhumans happen. And I'm like, you listen the fuck to me.
That's a lie.
Every X-Men fan will tell you. We put up with some real inhuman treatment.
That was so hard. It was a hard time.
Do they not remember the TV show?
No one remembers the TV show, Jonah.
Nobody should.
So bad.
Nobody should.
It was so bad.
It was not a show. Anyway, I'm so sorry. You guys, groups.
Jonah, I think you had something you were going to say.
Well, I was going to ask what about Atlas, but I don't know if that counts as a...
Atlas. The one thing I will say is when Atlas first debuted, they were the recreation of the 1950s interim post-World War II Cold War era comics. And they featured some of my favorite really cool characters, that offbeat Namorita, the Gorilla Man. Anybody who doesn't love Gorilla Man, I just don't understand. And they featured a lot of really, really cool characters. And when that kept not working, no matter what they did, they said, what if we make it this incredible infusion of Asian American and Pacific Islander characters? And what if we give them this historically important name? And I feel like that already kind of fell apart. And half of those characters just went back to the champions where they came from.
I mean, you're not lying.
So my thoughts on teams are very fast. It's interesting, especially if they have the exact same power, because they look to DC's Green Lantern / other colored lantern corps, and even though they all have the exact same power through the ring, they are still very distinct individual characters. Everybody is unique in that sense,
and their powers are very different. I don't want to be that guy, but their powers are very, very, very. Hold on, I'm going to play your favorite game show. Their powers are very different, and they can't stop hating on blue and orange lanterns. And I just need to be clear that they can't stop hating on blue and orange lanterns for whatever reason. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what I was going to add to that is that even though it's the exact same power, different people will use it differently. Yeah. It is used in different creative ways. Somebody will use it. That's the beauty of having characters use the same power, is that how do you make an individual use it different?
One has love, one has fearlessness, one has a really awkward shade of yellow.
Yeah, but you're talking about the different cores, but like the whole Green Lantern Corps, right?
You mean just the greens? I'm so I gotta go.
Yeah, so like everybody would have something different that they would project, and that's just how I think what of their personality would want them to use, whatever that fight may be. So having this that I'm going to, for right now, dub the America Corps of all these young girls who have the exact same power set as America Chavez is interesting if it is able to go somewhere. Not to continue to talk about like Black Widow, but like a lot of the Spiderettes, they're not developed because they're not supposed to be, especially because the movie doesn't revolve around them. It's supposed to be about Natasha and Yelena. But if they ever did want to make a Spiderette movie or show or whatever media, you have to make them distinct because they all have the exact same training, even though one might be a little better than another. There's nothing unique about one spider to the next because they're all meant to be like that. They're all brainwashed that way. So if they do want to go somewhere with it, where now that these girls are up and awake, what do we do with them? I would really prefer them all be, differentiated in some way, because they all have they're carbon copies of one another, which is supposed to be. It's fine, but give them something that will help them, separate one from the other. But also, after seeing that there's now blonde white ones, I have another theory that Wilhelmina from Homines Brandy might be from the America Project.
Well, I would like to point out that they're all probably different kinds of Latinx, and some people of Latinx descent, some of us who are predominantly Latinx, just happen to look, kind of milky sad. And the other side of it is, let's not forget about the large number of South American Latinx people who have German ancestry,
Yep.
after the war.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you could make an exciting team. Like you could make like a Logan Corps, a Wolverine Corps, or like a Spider Corps, and it would be really no Spider Corps.
What about a Wolverine Corps? Snick, what are we doing?
No, but like you have like if you did like Logan, Laura, the Kid, Gabby, Creed, James, Jimmy, like you could put them all
sub in.
Yeah, you could put them all on a team, and they would really, like, their personality differences would really shine and be showcased through it.
I do have a request. If you bring the Wolverine Corps, you have to bring the speaking of blonde women, you have to bring the blonde woman that's Magic plus Wolverine. I forget.
His Marvel team up daughter.
I forgot. Who did he have that child with? Who was that? Her mom? I forget. But I liked her.
Bring in Wild Thing too, with like.
I cannot keep talking about how much I love MC2 and Wild Thing. And okay, but that's actually a thing that like about America Chavez that I do kind of love, right? I'm also Greek. I'm Latinx, but I'm also Greek, and that's a big part of my childhood connection to Elektra. Growing up, we had, and like Jonah will tell you, like one of my favorite things is around the holidays, my mom will make an enormous amount of baklava, and there will just be delicious baklava everywhere. And it's like part of who I was as a kid. And Elektra being, electric nachos, and I can make that joke because I'm Greek, but no, her being Elektra nachos, I'm really connected with that. And she looked like so many of my family members, and I felt a safety in her. So when I found out that she and Wolverine, who I idolized as a kid, I grew up really sick and I was constantly in and out of the hospital, and Wolverine just couldn't die and nothing could break him. So like, these are two characters that I really identified with, and they had an alternate universe daughter, because at the time that made some sense, right? At the time, Logan and Elektra were teaming up in the pages of Wolverine from issue like 88 to issue like 107. And I feel like Wild Thing is the kind of character that brings me joy. She's Logan with Elektra's psychic magic, so she has psychic claws. But I don't think she really makes cultural sense. And I feel like that's what this book sought to do. It sought to create cultural sense out of some silliness. Like, because if you're asking me how I feel about Wild Thing, do I sit here and go, wow, she's a great representation of French Canadians and Greek people? I don't think so. But for so many of us, okay, I'm going to get real for a second. For so many white looking Latinos, we're told we're white, right? And I don't necessarily mean by the Latin community, because for the last 10 years, the Latino community has said, if you're Latin at all, you're Latin enough. And that has been a really beautiful building point. And that's because we want room for white Latinos and Black Latinos and that delicious shade of caramel in between. And we want room for every sort of mixed race that there can be a fusion with Latin with, right? But not everybody outside of the community gets that. Some people who are within the community, without the community, believe that members of the Latin community are only really Latin if they're browner or if they speak Spanish. And, I'm not that brown, and that's just what it is. So I often feel like I'm not really a part of the Latin community. I often feel like I am different and ostracized, and seeing America come into being a real Latin woman was just so fulfilling for me because it took this idea of this woman who she's vaguely Latina, yay! And it made her concrete in a way that, you know, like I'm trying not to hear Kalinda in my head, but like it really did make someone who felt so far away from me feel real. And I very rarely know what it's like to be between two communities. I am a very extreme person in all my directions. So it was just magical. I don't know. It was just really special. I felt this was like this was a turning point for America as a character. And I'm just very excited. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep talking about stuff like that. I'm just so excited.
I mean, I definitely agree. It definitely was the turning point. This makes America more, I feel like, not as an unknown factor in the Marvel universe. And people will probably be more willing to use America now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of writers, or just Marvel in general, were scared to use America because they're like, she can do so much and she's so powerful. How do we use her? Let's just put her over there. Like, and just not worry about her.
LGBTQ, Latinx, and OPAF. That's too many.
Yeah.
That's too many.
They're like, there's too many things. They're like, she's a woman, first of all. We can't have a too powerful unless she's Carol Danvers. That's it. Like they watch everybody else. They don't show Wanda or Monica or anybody else. They just show Carol.
It's like justice for Monica.
Right?
If she gets too powerful, they just kill her.
Yeah, or they put her back. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But I was like, I was about to go into somewhere else, but no.
Wait, you weren't gonna like lightning bolt Marina in the ocean to like take away Captain Marvel's powers, right? But anyway, Monica.
Oh God. No, we just put a green dress on her and make her do some dishes.
Hey.
That dress is sexy, okay?
I just wanted to make a joke. I have no qualms technically with it. The joke was there, and I was like, "That's funny." It's also touchy. So,
wait, why you got to do that to Lorna though? Talk about her green dress like that.
I actually really like that one. I like the design a lot. That is really cute.
Also, wait, real quick, Lorna and coffee. And this book, actually, I reread the 4 issues because I wanted to be like really sharp for this. The first issue starts with America talking about coffee drinkers.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, it's just a really good time to be a strong lady in comics, have full hair, and be into coffee.
Yeah, I mean, all the writers are always drinking coffee, so they're just writing characters to relate to over and over again.
Identifying with themselves. They're like, I need my coffee.
Thank goodness all the characters aren't on cocaine.
I mean, I think some of them have been. But I did realize after I mentioned like, oh, maybe they could be like a core group or whatever, that a lot of these, or all the little girls are still little girls. Like they didn't age. They've been in cryogenesis or whatever, apparently. So what were you going to say, Nathan?
I was going to say, but how cute are those little girls kicking that old man?
That was really cute.
I was like, oh my God, they're so cute, but they're such kick-asses too. Yeah.
It's like the Star Brand baby.
I was going to say like the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh yeah. They can start their own Powerpuff Girl group, which is a good way to actually kind of do it. Honestly, that brings me to another point, Jonah, that I just thought of right now. And I was kind of thinking of earlier, like, so you know how America Chavez and her sister have like the same powers, but what if the other ones have like a little bit different powers because of the, you know, they have different genes and everything. Like the Powerpuff Girls, they all have like the base same powers. They all are a little bit different. Because, well, I guess they're all kind of like the same bloodline, but whatever. I still like my theory and my idea.
It's a good theory.
Yeah. But I don't like my other theory is I don't know if they'll become a group because they're so young, and we already have a young group anyway with the champions. So maybe they'll just have America and the older sister just take them to another utopia-like land, or somewhere in America, or the world of Earth, and make them like a sanctuary to take care of them because they're young. So
what about a Wonder Woman parallel? What if they form their own Latina Themyscira?
Oh, I want that.
I just really would like one to not be named the Mascara, and you know, that would maybe be like a better move,
as opposed to 2020, which is the mask era.
That was clever. That was really quick thinking. I love it. I mean, I want that now. I don't even want it'd be like the Lantern Corps group mixed with Wonder, all the best parts of DC kind of put together in Marvel, and isn't that what Marvel does?
And, you know, we have little bits of it with like the world and Hickman bringing back the world. And I have to say a thing that's been really on my mind for the last like 2 weeks. So many people dropped X-Men after Hoxpox because Hoxpox was one guy's vision and then it had to be 6 people's vision. And if you were only in it for the one guy's vision, now that there's 6 people, you're going to lose people. And when I was reading this morning, I was realizing that her whole character career, America has been 6 or 7 people's vision. And that one person is being given the opportunity to make it legitimate. And I feel like, you know, you're saying all of these incredible, fantastical possibilities. You're saying, what if they form a core? What if they form a unique utopian island? What if they have different powers? What if the cryo sleep that they were in and different genetics affects them? And people are just like, oh, they've taken some of the magic out. And I'm like, no, actually, they've infused new, different magic. Why is it bad that a single Latin woman is reshaping this Latin woman character's destiny instead of a bunch of white men?
It's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all. I feel like people are just some fans just want to live in a positive reality, and they're like, that's America is their like positive reality where it's like, oh well, she was in this great utopia,
okay,
and nothing bad ever happened, and now they're like, well, she was taken advantage of by this rich white man and blah blah. Now that's her backstory. It's like, yeah, but like also her backstory is that her 2 lesbian Latinx moms gave her powers to try to save her life. Like it wasn't the white man that did, like, he wasn't the scientist. He was the money.
He was the money.
He was the money. That's it. He didn't actually do anything except be rich.
That's it.
And I want to add that it feels very reductive to just reduce this story to being taken advantage of a white man, because I feel like it's a lot more complex in what it's actually trying to say. And for America previously, there really isn't anything unique about coming from a different world and seeing her 2 moms and wanting to be just like them. That's America's want at her core, right? She knows her moms are heroes. And you know, that's changed into what kind of heroes we see them to be, whether we thought they were from Utopia and these 2 very super powerful women, as opposed to these scientist women saving these young girls. It's 2 different kinds of heroes, same sides, 2 different sides of the same coin. But that want, it doesn't feel like a unique want for America. There are plenty of kids who have superhero parents that want to be a hero like their parent. Where's the unique factor in America's story that makes her different, that makes her specifically special comparative to the other kid heroes running around in the exact same universe? And this story, to me, adds so much more on that take of, we get to see specifically the heroes that her mom were, and now that she remembers and what they did, she has an actual, there can be an actual drive to that want for her character arcs.
So like, kind of like what you were saying made me think, so like it's a really compelling story to have your moms do all of this and go through all of this to have you you know, better yourself and become superpowered. And it's a really depressing story if you think about it, that the like a utopian parallel would be this magical, wonderful place that I know people were like, "Ooh, I wanted to exist," but in the original version of events anyway, it fell and it got destroyed anyway. So yeah, I think it's better and more compelling this way, because I mean, the utopia had to fall anyway. So like, let's just never have made it really what they thought it was in the first place.
I also want to add that the idea of utopia, this idea of this world where there isn't anything wrong, I personally don't know if it makes for the best storytelling, because a lot of the best storytelling, you need conflict. What exactly would the conflict be from utopia? Everything is perfect there. Everything is wonderful. That's not really compelling. Not to say that everything has to be tragic milking of backstory and trauma and pain, but there isn't, in my way at least of thinking and seeing, where can you make it super interesting and compelling coming from this perfect world? What would, I am Confucian.
It's why we call Krakoa an island nation, not a utopia.
Yeah.
because it's not perfect.
If you can't write about a utopia. Nobody wants to read about that. Everything's too perfect. When you write about a utopia, it's always, if you're going to write about a utopia, all the stories are always like, oh my God, the utopia is not as perfect as you think it is.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah kind of thing.
It's Stepford Wives with optic blasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it would be. Like, and that's why I was really happy actually when I was kind of like Jonah when I first read the third issue. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But then I reread it and I was like, oh well, that makes sense. It fits everything into place. It makes America like actually like a real person now and identifiable and even better. And I'm like, I'm sure hopefully they're gonna adapt this into the MCU movie and then make her like even more Latinx, like how she is now. So that's even more wonderful. Like we get real Latinx representation on the big screen. That's major in the superhero film.
Speaking of Latinx representation, oh my God, it's unbelievable to me that there's a Latinx art team because all of the people of Latinx origin didn't just look like the generic, that's the Latin face. They all had unique features. I could tell these characters apart. Even the characters that were meant to look similar had enough visual differences, and I chalked that up to the incredible art team on this. The color on this book is second to almost none. I mean, I think this is like Marte Gracia levels of dynamic color. And I just think the art is this polished, cool, like it almost looks like the comic equivalent of a video game. And I feel like all of the Latin characters show through as unique people.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, Carlos and Jesus are really well together. I hope they work together again after this book because his like the color and the way that it's drawn really mesh well together. And it is like a video game. I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, I'm like watching an animated movie, but it is more like a video game because it's more polished and it's extremely beautiful.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's something that I love, and it goes back to a point that you brought up, Nico, that, you know, not every Latinx person is going to look the same. If you look at this Young America core, all of the girls have a different hairstyle.
Yeah.
And something I really love about the little brown girls that are amazing is that you have some with wavy hair and you have some with much more curly and much more curly hair. And then you have a couple in the back that have straighter hair. And I love that it's, you know, just in that, even though they might look very similar, there's a very unique differences between them enough that you can be like, okay, yeah, because not everybody has the exact same kind of hair. And that's nice that there's, you know, showing that.
And what's funny, like when I had hair, it was pretty similar to Jonah's in terms of like the thick, coarse texture of it. And just that there would be so much. And like, I love that these are actual Latin hair. Like this is actual Latin hair. Like I feel like if I went to run my hand through it, I'd be like, I'm stuck. And like that's real.
Yeah, the Italian wants to make this straight, but the Latin wants to poof and curl. So.
I love that. One of the last points I wanted to point out. I don't know words today.
It's
morning. For the people that are listening. It's morning time. It might not be where you are. Maybe it's 3 a.m. and we're your pleasure listening. I don't know.
Welcome to Xi4p After Dark.
Right? X After Dark.
Hi, I'm Nathan.
Naughty Nico.
X is for After Dark. But no, this is not for that.
What was it? Randy Rod.
Oh, not Randy Rod. Oh no, I need a different name.
Okay.
Raunchy Rod?
Hot Rod is fine.
Ooh, Hot Rod, yeah.
Ooh,
I've been called that a lot. People love making that joke. Well, not in that sense. He was like making that joke because of the movie.
And Jonah, you can be Jojo Job.
Oh, that's cute. And yeah, it's sexual. But to bring me back to my point that I had, towards the end of the issue, you know, Catalina, is that how you say it?
I believe so. Yeah,
Catalina.
Oh, I didn't even realize that she named it after herself, basically, the writer. She just spelled it different. But how she kidnaps Alberto because she's like giving leverage over America to try to get this cure. Now, obviously, America Chavez is not a scientist, so she's not gonna be able to make the cure. Who do y'all theorize that she's gonna go to help make this cure? Like, there's many scientists on Earth or even off of Earth, but probably on Earth since she can't leave Earth right now.
I hope she does not go to Reed Richards or Tony Stark. or Hank McCoy, because he probably like brainwashed her when doing it.
I think she has to go to somebody young because of all of the Kamala laws and stuff. I think she should go to Amadeus Cho.
That's
What
what I
about
was
Nadia?
going to say.
Nadia,
another great one. I think there's so many young scientists that deserve the credit, and I think it's really important that we wait for that young scientist to come back. But also,
I am not a scientist. I'm an engineer.
oh, I'm so sorry.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
But and I love that you said she named her after herself, kind of, sort of, because a catalyst is an element that ignites change. And Kalinda plus catalyst is kind of Catalina. And so if Kalinda's story is the catalyst for America's change, I'm thrilled. And go to Amadeus. He's too hot to be believed, and he's like the 7th smartest man in the world.
Why not go to Moon Girl?
Moon Girl, like literally. That's why I went.
I did just say Lunella Lafayette.
Baby Brew, who is beyond a genius, and he's so familiar with non-native to Earth species and technology, especially with his time serving alongside the Avengers for the last couple of months and serving in Wakanda. Brew really would have a depth of knowledge to pull from. And I'm an asshole, and I always think there's room to go see the Scientist Supreme, Monica Rappaccini.
Ooh. What about Ironheart?
Ooh, there's another. Well, does she work on like genetic sequencing, or does she tech?
She's tech more, so
she's like Jonah. She's tech.
Yeah, that's more probably. That's more engineering. That's
engineering.
Engineering more than science. You're right.
I was thinking, I do like the younger, actually, theory that she should go to a younger person, because this is like they're all younger and everything, and it'd bring more younger characters to the forefront. But I was thinking,
back in from the first one.
Right? Where is Kate? Kate is having lunch. She's always eating. She's just having lunch somewhere.
Eating her tacos wrong.
She's actually right back there. That's literally her.
Oh yeah, she is nice.
Annie Wu did that for me. It's amazing.
That is cute. I can't really see it. It's like a bright area with like hair.
That's pretty much it. That's Kate Bishop.
That's Kate Bishop.
That's Kate Bishop with hair.
There you go. But I was thinking she would probably go to Blue Marvel, since she was on a team with him. And she knows that he does like basically kind of everything in science. I don't know, but he's really smart. And he deals with he knows dealing with people with different powers and everything, because he has that. So I think he'd be able to help with that a little bit. But I would like to see Amadeus Cho as well. So I don't know.
There is someone who I think could do it, but I wouldn't trust them to do it, which would be Sinister. I wouldn't give any DNA to Sinister for any purposes, but I do think Sinister is smart enough in at least genetics to understand that he could develop a cure, but I wouldn't want him anywhere near it.
I would trust Victor Von Doom.
Let's just call the leader and the maker, and let's just see if we can't get the Hulk's alter ego that's also brilliant. Let's just get the Maestro. Okay.
I said that I didn't want him to do it, but he could. There is a very big difference. He's like a scientist and I'm an engineer. Scientists think, I do.
But I would rather trust, I think I would trust Mr. Sinister more than I would trust Beast at this point. So
I don't know. I don't think Beast would make clones and everything of America Chavez, and I think Sinister would.
Okay.
Well, and now I'm thinking, because now we're talking about creepy genetic science puncture you people, and it made me remember that they dropped in that Mr. Hyde reference. Who it is this? Is it Loki? Is it Mr. Hyde? And Mr. Hyde was used in the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider series, where we did see that he is very much about the experimentation on genetics again, and he is a character that is somewhat familiar to MCU people because of his appearances in the now not canon Shield, and there's so many nasty sick fucks that she could go to. I'm really hoping she goes to either Moon Girl or Nadia or Amadeus, because I'm thinking there's too many bad seeds for her to owe a favor to.
Yeah.
But maybe you're right. Maybe Rod. Maybe she goes to Blue Marvel and T'Challa, and they help her out.
Yeah, T'Challa is somebody that I feel like he's so honor bound. I can't imagine him betraying a child. Like he can betray some other people because he has to do what's right for the majority, not an individual friend. And that's who T'Challa is straight up. That's who he swears he is day one.
Even if it's his wife. But...
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure if he did, Storm would slap him and make him do the good.
But yeah, I feel like I hadn't even thought of it. Who is she going to get help from? In my head, I'm just like, oh, she's going to figure it out.
No.
How would she do that? No.
She's very great, but she's
not a science.
She's average intelligence.
She represented us as dumb girl energy.
Yeah, she's a bit definitely like the internet term uses. I don't think she's this level, but like bimbo, because like himbo.
Yeah,
I don't think she's that. Like, I think she's a little bit smaller. I mean, smarter.
It's more appropriate to say e-girl now. I think. No,
e-girl. I don't.
Separate.
I'm just kidding. It's totally different thing.
I've never heard of that, so I'm gonna. I don't know.
She's kind of like, she's kind of like a. It's just so stupid to say, but she's kind of like an ultimate tagger or an American gladiator in that she's big and strong and beautiful and tactically able, and you must be tactically able. I don't care how big and strong you are. If you make the wrong judgment call every step, you're not going to succeed. And she doesn't make the wrong call, but she definitely operates from a place of fight or flight impulse. Yes. And I think that holds her back a little. So I definitely get what you guys mean by she's not the brightest cookie on the tray, right? Why would the cookies be bright? She's not the... I don't want to say tastiest because she is tasty.
I was going to say tasty, but like,
I guess I've lost the metaphor. I guess I'm America Chavez, guys.
I mean, I would, yes. You're strong and you're beautiful, but you're a little. It's sometimes doesn't go all the way up to the top elevator, to the top floor.
It's and a little dicey some days. It's a little dicey.
Is okay. We all have strengths and weaknesses.
I mean, she was kind of the boom boom of the Ultimates, like Boom Boom and Next Wave and like America and the Ultimates.
She really was. I would definitely agree with that. She was the boom boom. She was the heart, but also not really.
Now, I have one question for you guys. There's only one issue left. What? And I don't think it comes out till August.
Yeah, till August.
I'm like, that's a lot of time to wait for what has to be a hopefully a conclusion. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think there's time left for? Do you guys even think there is 20 pages that could end this issue, this storyline with one story? Like,
I don't think it's going to be enough. I definitely think it's going to be open-ended to a point. Like, she's going to go to whatever scientist or whatever plan she has to go to somebody. It's going to be another cameo, definitely. There has to be. And because I think even Kalinda even said there was going to be somebody else that hasn't shown up yet. And that obviously wasn't this issue. So it's going to be the next issue. And I feel like they're going to all be together, all the girls and the two sisters, and it's just gonna kind of be like dun dun dun, the end question mark, and then maybe they'll have her pick it up from there, or maybe it'll be picked up in another story, maybe with the Avengers or something. I don't know, because there's no other big groups that could maybe tackle this story together with it. So
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think somehow she's got to get through this, and she's got to stabilize her powers to a point where she's not as overpowered as she normally is, because I think that's going to be the kind of goal of this, to make her a little bit more writable, where she can show up more often and not be the like, oh my god, you saved the day kind of thing.
Yeah, she's not going to be. They're going to make her less Superman and more I guess Donna Troy.
Yeah, I was about to say like Wonder Girl. Like
yeah, it's perfect.
And I think that works for her.
Because Donna Troy is not invincible, but she's still really strong. Yeah. She's not Superman level. So,
and Donna Troy lived on the mascara.
I've never heard it called that, and now I will not be able to think of anything different. I hate you, Nico. You made me think of the mascara now, and I don't like that, but it is still funny. All right, y'all. Did y'all have any final thoughts on this Fantastic America Chavez issue 4?
I guess I just didn't realize how much I loved it till I was talking with you guys about it. I knew I liked it and I knew I was excited about it, but like how much I loved it definitely became clearer to me in getting to talk about it with people and share my thoughts on it, hearing them out loud. I really feel like, vote America.
I would just say the one thing I really love, the whole creative team is just knocked it out of the park. The art is beautiful, and you can tell Kalinda has done a lot of TV work in the way that each issue reads very much like an episode of a television show, because you've got a good A point, B point with a good overall arc for the whole story.
I hope the creative team feels very proud of what they've accomplished, that they're proud of their work, and that they are able to stand by it no matter what. Because I imagine there are a lot of people who are upset by the changes, and whether rightfully so or not, I hope that they understand that their art is their art. They're allowed to tell the story that they want to tell, and that standing by it for a really amazing story, I hope there's a lot more beautiful things to come.
Yep.
I would say, yeah, I agree 100% with that. I was probably just going to say exactly that, what Jonah just said. I hope that, I hope they take the criticisms, like the artist team, with a grain of salt, like I guess take it in a little bit, just because it helps everybody grow, even if they don't really need it. But still, I think this is a really great way to reinvent a character and make them really a part of the Marvel universe and make them be able to be used more. And I love that, because we need more Latinx women in the Marvel universe, because we don't have a lot. So
Great, we have Farrell and Thorne. I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I'm like,
exciting.
we don't have a lot. So, and there's a little bit more, but not much. So I hope we get Catalina again on a book, because she was fantastic on this series. Yeah. And I'll say this again when we review issue 5, but I just want to see her writing again, because like you said, she writes really great TV, and this was basically like great TV. Yeah. And I feel like that resonates with readers nowadays more. So if she could get like another solo book or a team book, maybe the Ultimates would be
Remember,
cool.
she wanted to do Spider-Man, and like her Spider-Man was awesome, so I'd love to see her do Spider-Man.
Marvel, give her Spider-Man.
I know they have a different track, but
yeah, she would be the first solo woman to write Spider-Man, and she doesn't even really have a big track record of comics. That would be insane, and I love that idea.
Amazing.
I think my concern is that she's too high profile again. I think with the fact that she is an executive producer on multiple Star Trek projects makes it a little bit harder to nail her down for ongoing work. So I just hope that should she have to leave the character, she entrusts some kind of plan, some sort of vision board to the next writer, so they can say, okay, this is what the authentic voice of this character was going to do next. I would like to follow suit.
Pull a Willy Wonka and handpick your suitor through a trials and tribulations of walking through a factory and see who's the best fit that way.
I do hope we get another Latinx person, whether they be female, male, gender neutral, any of those categories, like just another Latinx person writing America. That way it is still seen as authentic, and they help, push the culture even more through her, since we know she is actually of this culture. So yay.
Yay.
All right, I'm gonna hit stop. That was a perfect ending. Stop.
Yay.
Right. Oh no, I should have hit stop recording.
Hey guys, if you like that cut from X's4 Podcast, you'll be sure to like some of our other materials. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these other amazing videos here at X's4 Podcast.